This is the regular meeting of the Del City Council. Joe, will you please call roll?
Councilman Dean.
Here.
Councilwoman Brown.
Here.
Councilman Tatum.
Here.
Mayor Finch.
Here. At this time, I've asked Michael Dean to do our invocation.
Will you
Please
join me
rise.
in prayer, please? Lord, we come to you tonight grateful and thankful for all the many things that you've given to us, the many blessings. Thank you, Lord, for this country that you've given to us, where we can all come together and fight for each other's rights and be able to be helping each other to have a great place. Lord, we want to especially come to you and ask for protections for our military forces, for our local friends and neighbors who's protecting us in faraway places. Lord, we also want to pray for our first responders and that you place special hands and blessings on them. Lord, we pray that you be with us tonight at this council and that we do good things for the city. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Claudia, will you please do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we do have a couple of proclamations that we're going to read off today. The first one is our Month of the Military Child and Purple Up, and I'm going to request that City Manager J.D. Hawk read that for me.
Proclamation. Whereas thousands of brave Americans demonstrate their courage and commitment to freedom by serving in the armed forces of the United States of America in active duty posts around the world, and whereas thousands of military families in Oklahoma have been directly affected by the military deployment of at least one parent and sometimes both, or other family members who serve as guardians and caregivers, and whereas each day, military children experience unique challenges which they face with resilience and dignity beyond their years. And whereas these children and youth are a source of pride and honor to our community, and it is only fitting that we take time to recognize their contributions and celebrate their spirit. And whereas April 2026 is the month of the military child, and April 15th, 2026 is Purple Up Day. And whereas this month-long salute to military children and youth encourages the local community to provide direct support to military children and families, and Purple Up Day serves as a visible show of support and appreciation for military families. Now, therefore, I, Pam Finch, Acting Mayor, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as the month of the military child, and April 15th, 2026 as Purple Up Day in Del City. I urge all residents, private organizations, and business and government leaders to join me in showing appreciation to the children and youth of military families for their exceptional devotion to loved ones who are serving in the armed forces of the United States of America. And I encourage all to wear purple, the color symbolizing all branches of the military, as a visible show of support and appreciation for military children on Purple Up Day. Signed, Pam Finch, Acting Mayor, City of Del City.
Thank you, J.D. All right, our next proclamation is for the Autism Awareness Month. Whereas autism spectrum disorder affects millions of individuals and families across the United States and within our own community. And whereas Autism Awareness Month provides an opportunity to increase public and understanding of autism, promote acceptance and inclusion, and recognize the unique strengths and contributions of individuals with autism. And whereas individuals with autism enrich our schools, workplaces, neighborhoods, and community life in countless ways. And whereas greater awareness and understanding help foster compassion, dignity, and respect, and equal opportunities for all citizens. And whereas the City of Del City encourages residents, businesses, schools, and community organizations to support efforts that promote autism awareness, acceptance, and advocacy. Now, therefore, I, Pam Finch, Acting Mayor of City of Del City, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Autism Awareness Month in the City of Del City, and urge all citizens to join in recognizing the importance of awareness, acceptance, and support for individuals with autism and their families. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Del City to be affixed this 6th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2026. All right, items, thank you. Our next item is a presentation. We have a gentleman here from ACOG. He's going to talk about our safe streets and roads.
Thank you very much. Yes, good evening. My name is John Sharp. I'm with the Association of Central Oklahoma Governments. It's been a couple of years since we popped by to see you, and it's nice to come back again. Back in November 2024, ACOG adopted the Regional Safety Action Plan, which was part of the SS4A, or Safe Streets for All funding that the feds, the DOT provided to all metro areas. So we are very pleased to get that. As part of that, we had a consultant come in and basically research the whole metro area for different roads and corridors that cause problems based on crashes and accidents and safety for our drivers and our pedestrians and our cyclists around our region. In the city of Del City, there were a number of segments that met this level of care, and it's called the High Injury Network. And I'll just read them off real quickly. I have some maps for you guys so you can have a look at them. But generally speaking, it's Sooner Road from 10th Street to 29th. It's 29th Street from Sunny Lane to Sooner. It's Sunny Lane from just south of 15th Street down to 44th. And then it's a very small segments of Reno, just east of Ray Trent Park going to Sooner. And then Vicky Drive, just south of 15th Street. Epperly Drive from 19th to 22nd Street. So there's a few small segments in neighborhoods, but most of these high injury networks are actually on your section line roads like every other metro or every other city in the metro. So what we've done there's two things that have been going on since that time. We had a resolution, and all cities, if they like, can then copy our resolution at their city council meeting. And once you've done that, you can automatically apply for funding from the feds directly, so you don't have to come through us. At the same time, what we've done is we've adjusted our funding that we get from the feds each year, and we've added a little bit more safety funding into that. And if you apply for a safety type project, then obviously you go against every other city that's applying for projects as well, but you get additional points if it's a safety project. So I want to kind of read to you a little bit quickly about some of the safety projects that you could look for. So, and I drive through Del City just about every night on the way home, so I have a little bit of history with that. But you've done some pavement marking around 29th and Sunny Lane Road. So pavement marking and striping is a safety project. So with the feds and also with us, you can go for that. Additional lighting at intersections where you feel like these are not safe enough, where you've got a lot of retail and you want to make it safe for folks to get to that retail. That's another thing. Back plates on traffic lights. So what you might have seen recently in the metros, you have obviously a traffic light, but they start putting those yellow strips around the outside. I'm not a scientist, so I don't really know why, but they say that's a lot safer for folks because you tend to pick up those lights faster when you're looking at them. And one of the things you guys have the absolute best high school flashing lights on Sunny Lane as you go past the high school. It looks like you're coming into land at an airport because these lights just are going to go down on a dark night. They look fantastic. So doing that sort of thing, speed safety cameras. It's a good guilt thing for the driver to see how fast they're going or how slow they're going. I think those really they work on me. I don't know if they work on everybody, but I feel like those types of things are good around schools or on roads where you feel like people are just going a little bit too fast. Shared business access. This one's a little bit more complicated, but this is whereby if you have a curb cut for every single business and there's 10 businesses in a row and you have 10 curb cuts, that's more opportunities for someone to rear end somebody. And this happens a lot in our metro area. Sharing those types of driveways are a better way to go forward. It's complicated. The city council usually gets somebody growling at them for doing that, but there's ways in which you can go forward, and if you have 10 businesses, 10 curb cuts, it just causes a lot of access issues out in front. Pedestrian refuge islands. So if you've got a 5-lane road in some locations, it scares the heck out of people to go across the road. So if you have an island kind of halfway, so in that middle lane, it allows folks to kind of get halfway, then stop, and then go the rest of the way. They feel a little safer just looking one way instead of swiveling their head and trying to make sure no one's going to get them. And then pedestrian crosswalk upgrades in regards to people that can press the light to get across and having enough time. So we used to be downtown Oklahoma City, our offices, and we used to cross Gaylord, which is a 6-lane facility, and you had 9 seconds to get across 6 lanes of traffic. So if you ran full out, you might just beat it across. So eventually Oklahoma City figured out, this is not long enough, and if we want people to actually come into our downtown or stay here and shop or go out to eat, we probably should give them more time to get across the street. So finally they figured that out and up the time to about 25 seconds, which is a little better. But having timing for folks to get across, especially in your retail areas, I know you guys are going to do a lot of work on 29th Street. That will be a really nice area to do something like that. And then one of the things that you've done recently with some funding through us, and you do the same sort of things with ODOT also, is to put in gap sidewalks. So where you know where these are, where you've got a sidewalk, then you've got a piece of grass, and everybody walks on it, and there's this, they call it a goat path. And it's like, well, that's not real safe, and someone might step out into the road if it's really wet and all those good things. So going in a few places and filling in with gap sidewalks, you guys are doing that with a air quality grant that we provided to you. So that's really helpful. But those types of things, especially around schools, yet again, we don't want kids jumping out into the street. So those types of things are helpful. So the current application cycle for the feds finishes in May 26, 2026. So it's coming up fairly soon. If you guys need some assistance with that, let us know. I think we've still got some chatting to do on a resolution thing, whether we got all our ducks in a row on that. But those are kind of the main topics I wanted to touch on this evening. It's really that pedestrian interaction, the motorbike interaction, the car interaction, and then dealing with folks that are going to school and from school. That's very, very important. But also areas where you have restaurants and you've got people that come out of the restaurant and don't maybe look where they're going as quickly, or they're trying to get to their car. Areas where you might want a little bit more lighting or a safer area for them to cross the road, those types of things. But I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So 2 questions for me. The first one about shortening the time for crosswalk. Is that part of a healthy initiative to make them go faster? No?
I don't know.
I mean, you never know, right?
I'm sure it was an engineer, and he got his calculator out and he did it. But it's like, if you actually try to walk across 6 lanes of traffic, you can't get across in 9 seconds, even if you're flying. So yeah, those things make it safer. You want those folks, if they're in town, you want them to safely move around. And if you've got people coming into town that are shopping in your town, you want it to be safe for them too.
And then my question on pedestrian crosswalk upgrades, things of that nature, anything that we can do for pavement markings, can they be beautified versus just the traditional white or yellow? Could they be like how they have those beautification crosswalks?
I think that's more federally mandated, that it's either white or yellow at this point. And I know, we've all driven around the metro area. We know it's expensive to do that, and they only last so long. but it helps the driver and it helps the person trying to cross the road too. It's like you should, so like I said, we were in Bricktown and they raised some bricks in a few locations and that was the crosswalk, but only we knew that because we worked there. A driver coming through Bricktown, it all just was brick to them, so they didn't really perceive it as a place where you had to slow down. But yeah, those types of things are really important.
My questions for, these are all possibilities of what we could ask for in this available grant that is due May the 26th. Could we ask for all of it? Is it something that we need to focus on? Do we need engineering to even apply? And third question, if it is an area that is red, does that help us with our case and with our application?
Yes, you would want to reference the high injury network and that you're trying to alleviate some of the problems on that. We have a map on our website that has the little dots where all the crashes were, and it could have been a car, it could have been a car motorbike, it could have been a car pedestrian. And so you can, well, we can also get that information for you as well. If you like, so you can do a corridor upgrade, or you can do an intersection upgrade where you're trying to make that intersection safer. And it could also be the amount of time for someone to turn at that turning area. So the lights may need to be modified based on maybe there's not enough time, so people try to gun it and get themselves in trouble.
So we have a difficult place on Sunny Lane by the open creek that's
Yeah.
there for no sidewalks in that area. Is there part of the grants, could we go and get an additional easement possibly purchased? And
We don't do well, ACOG doesn't do right-of-way. We do design and engineering on a project. If you get the project, you can roll that into that. But right-of-way, generally, we don't get to because it can be so, it can be all over the place. That's a nice scientific term for you, in that you think you're going to get it for $10,000 and then it turns out to be $50,000 because the person wants more money
so as
for
you
it.
discussed, the very first words was this, get the engineering and this part, is that normally goes and makes things very expensive to even get started.
Right.
So what kind, on these grants, what kind of matching or funding are you looking at for Safe Streets type of funding?
Usually they're 80-20, so the local entity provides 20% of the funding and the feds provide 80% of the funding.
And you said that we could apply straight to the feds, as well as we can apply to you as well.
Right.
So how do we do the dual grant thing? Do we turn in two separate ones?
Yeah, so to the feds, you would directly send it to the DOT, Federal Highway, and apply through their program. There'll be an application online, all that good stuff. So that's May. Then each year, ACOG has grants, and they usually roll them out around September. So we would get with you, obviously, during the summertime and chat with you about the sort of projects that you're looking at. And then we would give you a preliminary score to give you an idea of what your chances are in the competition for that sort of thing. If you're thinking about a bridge over a culvert,
And I'm not. No, I'm
Okay.
trying, what we're looking at is just
well, I was
sidewalk part of
thinking that because if it's a health situation, you might look at TSET to provide you with the design or engineering on it,
Okay.
and that's the 100%, so you wouldn't be out of any money.
I just want to make clear, because during our special meeting, there was some confusion about the meeting itself for the fact that most of the people that were watching on our YouTube channel thought that we were going to just go out and fund this. I guess they weren't under the assumption that we were trying to get grants. So the grants are anywhere from 50% up to an 80-20 split,
Yep.
which that means the city would only have to pay 20%. So the feds or ACOG is going to pay 80%. So that means that the city's not going to go out there and fund everything.
So on the safety grants through ACOG, so we get about $40 million per year. $4 million of that is set aside for safety. That's 100% money, so you don't have to come up with any money. And then what we're trying to do is also have more of the safety projects into our 80-20 split, which is $36 million. So we're trying to make people go that direction, because obviously from us, if we don't have a crash, if we don't have people getting hurt, then the traffic doesn't stop and we all move along a little bit safer. So from that standpoint, it's really, really helpful.
So we have to get all the engineering and take all the proper steps before we apply for these grants, or we won't get them. So that's what we're leading up to, is the fact that we get all the planning done, all the engineering done, then we're more than likely going to get a grant, but we have to have those first.
Yes,
Thank you.
sure.
And for our runway lights on Sunny Lane, they need to be rehabilitated.
Okay.
And is that something as well that you could,
If you want to chat to us about that, we can talk some more about that. If we can't do it, it's possible that the DOT could do it.
okay.
You had mentioned that there were some safety grants that are 100%. I know that that's usually once a year that those come
Yes.
up. And striping, I know we recently did some striping, so we're obviously too late for that. But whenever it comes down to updating or maybe doing some streets that we weren't able to do, is that something that
Yes.
we can apply for?
Yes, and it can be on one corridor or multiple corridors. Some of our other cities, say for example, Norman might have a phase 1 striping, then a phase 2 striping, and a phase, so you can put it into buckets of small manageable pieces. It could be $50,000 grant or $100,000 grant, but it would be 100% funding.
And as we gather information, does ACOG give us things like information that may already be out there that we're looking for? How many cars pass one street, or how many steps? Are there any kind of possible pre-engineering that you guys have already done as a larger?
We have some data like that. So for example, we have traffic counts on your major roads. Like for example, like Sooner, between Reno and 15th is 18,400 cars. But if you go down a little further south, you go between 15th and 29th, it goes up to 23,500 cars. So your traffic gets really heavy as it goes south towards 44th. So, yeah, feel free to shout at us anytime. We'll be happy to sit
Awesome.
down.
If we don't say it enough, thank you for your continued partnership with our city. We are very excited about this air quality grant project. This should be kicking off here soon after ODOT's finished with their blessings.
Yes, that sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
Appreciate
for
it.
coming.
Thank you.
Okay. The next portion of our council meeting is our public input. Does anybody have any public input at this time? Okay. Please state your name and address, please.
I'm Gordon Gibson. I live at 2308 Mustang Street, Del City, Oklahoma. And I'd like to talk about the traffic lights. The traffic light on 15th in East Vicky, eastbound, that light, you cannot see it till you get right up on it.
I
If
agree.
you're westbound, you can see it 2 miles off. And then there's also a stoplight on 15th in Townsend. You could be the only one on the street, east and west. Nobody's coming off the Townsend, you get a red light. But if you're coming off Townsend on the 15th, you have to sit there and wait for it. You know, it should be on a demand.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. The 15th in Vicky is something we're working on ODOT, but the 15th in Townsend we will absolutely look at.
And then 44th and Sunny Lane. If you're the only one there, all the lights have to go to the turn lanes and the straight lanes, and then you get a light. It should be on a demand. I could see putting the timers on them, but you know, let the demand take over. I mean, you know, if you're the only one there, you should get a green light, right?
Yes.
And then a few things about my neighborhood. We got a guy that has about a 35-foot trailer. He'll come in and with it loaded. He's tearing up our street. And it takes up about, 2 driveways. And They need to do something, and they park they park on, they just park anywhere they want on the street,
Do you have a street for me or a location?
like 2320
What, 2320 what?
Mustang.
Mustang, thank you.
In their backyard they got junk cars all over the place.
I have drove through there before and seen that.
Pardon?
I have drove through there and seen it.
All right.
There's not much room to get through there.
And then they got a bunch of dogs that just run wild all over the place. I mean, I'm in my own backyard, and one of them tried to attack me.
Lord.
I mean, he's been in everybody's backyard around that neighborhood. I told one day I was out there doing something. When one of the neighbors was there, I carried my gun out there to mow the back lawn. He goes, "Where you got your gun?" I said, "That dog comes over, it's dead." Because my dog, I mean, he didn't, well, he passed away, but, I mean, he didn't bother nobody. I mean, all the dogs around me be barking. He'll be back there by the contrary, just, what's going on? But I think I've said enough.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? State your name and address, please.
Ellen Cotillo, 4817 Southeast 19th Street, Del City. Thank you again. On the meeting, the last meeting we were here, I had put an idea about scanners, microchip scanners. Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, there's instructions. That type scanner will scan multiple types of microchips, which helps because like Elsa is home again, so is our dog Desi, and the shelter, I'm not sure which one they use, but it'll scan multiple ones. And a lot of people on Nextdoor app aren't finding places to get their dogs scanned because they're closed or not available, things like that. So I was talking to Chief Williams, trying to, about maybe he could be the first one to help and to get scanners. If you would allow, we would just need two, one for each firehouse, and I could go over and demonstrate how they work. You scan it, you Google the first three numbers, that's the company, and then it's instructions on there as well, who to contact. That way the citizens aren't taking dogs straight to the pound because they don't have them. My husband and I even thought about getting one as well, and me making a Facebook page possibly to say, hey, tag us, we'll come to you, come to us, because places aren't open a lot of times. So hopefully you will like my idea and possibly could go through with it because it would help a lot. There's too many dogs being dumped off, being lost, being taken to the shelter, and then we know the result when it happens. Also, my idea is for a pet food pantry. Hopefully maybe at the fire station, we could start creating one because Del City, I don't think, has one. It could also help the citizens of Del City with cat food, dog food, maybe supplies, things like that. Also want to talk to the fire chief, maybe we could get it together. That way everybody could donate. I could create a page as well saying if you need something, go to the fire station. And you'll contact someone, some supplies, cat litter, dogs, leashes, beds, harnesses. We got hers at Midwest City because people had donated. Just to help the pets. So, and we talked to Joss, and I have his number. So, but that's it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you. And always.
There's just some really good ideas. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I try. It's all about the animals. So, but thank you. And we're going to cut out though because it's your dinner time. So, but thank you again. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public input?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Walter Jacks, 4832 Kelch Drive. I was glad to see my old friend John Sharp here from ACOG tonight. As I think all of you know, I sat on the active Transportation Advisory Committee at ACOG for several years. I still attend the meetings as I can, and I sat on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting before that for a long time, going back 20 years. And I sat on that. Looks like John's gone now, but John can attest. I was in that meeting in the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee for several years, religiously, before a representative from ODOT attended one. And we were all incredulous. I mean, people in the room were really happy that ODOT had actually come and seen where they have a part in bicycle and pedestrian issues and not just vehicular issues in Oklahoma as a matter of transportation. I want to stress the importance of Del City sending a representative from our municipality who has skin in the game and sits at the table and not just gets attachments that have grant opportunities in response to the grant opportunities. The first time that Matt Van Auken, who is the ODOT representative that I'm talking about, attended the Active Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, he gave a slideshow. In this slideshow, he was introducing grant opportunities for smaller municipalities outside of Oklahoma City in our MPO, our Metropolitan Planning Organization. So he was outlining grant opportunities for various thresholds of population. And we're talking about municipalities like Jones, Choctaw, et cetera, smaller municipalities. And I noticed the breakdown where the population cuts were. And we're talking about big financial increments in the grant opportunities. And I had a sidebar with Matt after the meeting. I said, Matt, you know, is it possible that you can go back to ODOT and maybe we can tweak these thresholds? Because if you did, Del City having a population of roughly 22,000, if we change this number to 25,000 instead of an arbitrary 20 or whatever, Del City would suddenly qualify for a lot more grant money than it did under the numbers presented in the slideshow. And he said, yes, absolutely. Well, this is exactly the case in point that I'm trying to make when I say, if you don't have somebody in the room to have these conversations, to ask these questions, to make these clarifications and see these opportunities, Del City is leaving a ton of money on the table. So really, please, please send somebody to those meetings. I can go. I know Mayor Eason stood me up in 3 or 4 meetings, public meetings at least, and said, here's Walter Jacks, he's our ACOG representative. But, you know, the truth is borne out in looking online at the agendas. They list the official city representatives. So there's, you know, I don't see my name appearing on those things. I have no vote. I can go and so what? You know, I'm a cheerleader for Del City, all I want to be. But if I can't make a commitment on part of Del City, somebody from Del City needs to go there who can make a commitment on behalf of the city and can learn about all the opportunities that exist, who can do the networking that they need to do and ask the questions that really are going to get Del City far ahead of where they would be just getting attachments and emails and responding to them. That's not all there is. So I'm just asking, please, please, please send somebody to those meetings. I did a study. John Sharp gave me the data a couple of years ago. I wanted to know, how does Del City stack up relative to the other municipalities in our MPO? And we were the lowest. I mean, we brought back maybe $2 million in a decade. And I want to say Midwest City was more like $15 million. They're not that much bigger a municipality to bring home the kind of money they're getting, but although I have often been the only human being from Del City in those meetings, I have never been to one of those meetings that didn't have at least one representative from Midwest City. They had a dedicated grant writer. They had a comprehensive planner, a city engineer who were all over getting every nickel out of ACOG that they could. And they were the superstars of the metro area. But bottom line, please, please, please send somebody to those meetings that has some authority in the fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Walter. Are there any other public input? Okay.
Lonnie Austin, 923 High School Road. I have a little handout here real quick I'll pass out. we've been working this issue in the neighborhood watches for quite a while, and had some real good cooperation from the city
Can you read that?
with regard to dog leash laws, okay? Enforcing dog leash laws. As the gentleman just brought up a minute ago, we have some dogs that run loose all the time. They pose a hazard to our pedestrians. It's getting warm weather, we're gonna have more and more people, adults walking, children walking, people walking their dogs, people just out for a Sunday stroll. A dog on the leash, I don't care whose pet he is a wild animal, as far as I'm concerned, and is subject to doing bad things, okay? We need to make sure people are aware of that. There's a $750 fine for disobeying our ordinances as far as dog leash laws, but it's seldom enforced. I don't know if it's ever been enforced, frankly. I've never heard of it being enforced. But this sign here, this proposal, they post these signs, 2 of these signs, in each neighborhood watch area. There'll be 12 signs citywide, just to raise the awareness. So when anybody driving in one of our main streets will see immediately that if a dog's out on the street and it's not a fenced yard, it's violating our ordinances, okay? The current signs we have, and the city's been real good, city manager and Scott Tatum work real good. They put up signs in all the regional parks that identifies what the leash laws say. But it's a green sign, green lettering on white background. It explains almost too much information, and you can't read it at a glance walking by or driving by. You have to stop and study it to see what it says, even though it's about dogs. So we need something real simple that jumps out and says, hey, people, if you got a dog and it's outside your fenced yard or outside your house and it's not on a leash, you got a problem. We're going to have a problem somewhere. Somebody somewhere, it's not this city, some other city, some dog's going to attack a kid or a woman walking her dog. We've seen it happen before here, it's been on the news here in the last few months, where people have been mauled by dogs, okay? It's an unnecessary thing. It's a simple thing. Some people, one of my constituents says, some people are aware of the law and just don't care. Well, maybe what we need to do is get their attention. Maybe they will care then, I'm not sure. Anyway, I wanted the council to be aware of the fact that it's an ongoing issue. The city has been working on it. We've got the rest of the area to cover. We got the parks covered right now, but we need to make the rest of the city aware, so everybody is aware. If you got a dog, you're responsible for its conduct, where it's at. Thank you.
Are there any other people that would like to come on up? Hi, please state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Bonnie Joyner, 3601 Dell Road. And I want to add to what Gordon had to say. Because I live on Dell Road, I live between Mustang and Eagle. That's my entire yard. And this same truck that comes around, the other people don't have this problem that I do because they have straight curbs. He has to turn one way or another to get onto Dell Road from Mustang. And he inevitably goes across my yard because the trailer is so long. And he's tearing up my yard. He's tearing up the road, tearing up my yard. I'd like to know if there's anything legally I can do to stop that, anything I could put up. I'd also like to request a stop sign maybe there, because from the school to Knox, there's no stop signs. And we have jokingly nicknamed Dell Road Speedway, because they take off. Sometimes they don't even stop at that sign, and they rip-roar up and because it's basically the only through street around there, and they just race up and down it all the time. So, and then the loose dogs are, I have one neighbor behind me on Mustang and one neighbor behind me on Eagle. And it's the neighbors, not behind me, but on each side, both have dogs that get out. And the same guy with the trailer has 5 dogs. They're husky-like. The dog catcher, I've been out there and talked to her. And I don't know if she's afraid of them I've seen her get down on Eagle Drive with the two dogs and try to get to them and talk to them and get them back in their yard. And one neighbor and I have been over to that yard and given them food and water because they finally chained them up, but left them with where they wind around a tree or something and couldn't get to their food and water. So I don't know if the dog catcher needs training or help in that area, but it's like she's afraid of the dogs. And I wouldn't blame her for being afraid of the ones on Mustang, because one of them's name is Demon, and they've been trained to be mean. Thank you for listening.
Is the
thank you.
trailer, the truck and trailer, does the truck have company markings on it?
No. Does it?
And do you guys have pictures of that you could? Sure. Thank, for later on. We're about to go and have Brahms, and that'll be a perfect time to deal with anything.
Okay. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Oh, come. Please state your name and your address again.
Gordon Gibson, 2308 Mustang Street. And about our street, there's one lady that's on the street. She drives, I guess, part-time for a school bus. She has a school bus. It's not Oakland, it's Oklahoma City school bus. She'll get in it from, say, Dell Road to 22nd. That little truck is flying. And same way with the kids. They'll just park anywhere on the street, either direction. And when they leave, it's flying. I guess they're scared of my Nova, but I got a little hot rod Nova that stays in the garage most of its life. But it's the police need to watch that place real good, because that school bus, there's no kids on it though. But it's Oklahoma City school bus. Unless we could get a tag number, maybe
Okay.
help you all.
All right.
All right, thank you all.
All right, thank you, Floyd. Any other public inputs? Not you this time, Mr. Broke? No. Okay, I knew you were wanting to.
I live on Eagle Drive, just one street over from what they're talking about. The police department's been over and talked to that truck driver on the trailer multiple times, one with me standing there, and they're still doing it. And they'll bring that truck and trailer in, and they'll block off two people's driveways with that truck and trailer. And like she talked about, when he makes that turn on the corner, it goes over the curb and across her lawn. On the Eagle side and 22nd Street, he'll come around that way, and he does the same thing there. And the police department's talked to him several times, and they're blowing them off. It's aggravating about our neighborhood. How can they continue to do that? And they're the one that's got the big dogs, and they've attacked other people's dogs too. Plus, their front yard is a parking lot, and it ruins our neighborhood. And I'll just shut up. So.
Thank you, Mr. Broke. All right. Is that it? Any more public input? Okay, seeing none. Councilman Tatum, do you have anything?
Nothing at this time.
Councilman Brown?
Nothing at this time.
Councilman Dean?
I'd like to thank the police and the city manager. I did drive down Dentwood today, and we had a towing company that decided to take up residence on a street over in Ward 1. And so it's nothing that, it doesn't happen overnight. They can give tickets, whatever else, they still have to finally be encouraged to leave. But anyway, there was no tow trucks there this time, and hopefully we can provide some relief for you guys. About a week later, they said, we're going to have a big homeowners association meeting. We have to use your driveway. You know, you're not. And they got it anyway. So he called the record company. Yeah, I'm joking. 6 cars off his yard. Yep. So anyway, things do take time, but eventually, with enough tickets and enough encouragement, things may change. Things should hopefully change.
If I could ask really quickly, what time of day does the trailer show up so we have an idea? Sure.
We need the time of day that this.
Is anywhere in Jackson?
Does it stay overnight?
Yes.
Perfect.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's a half-ton truck pulling a 16-foot long trailer.
As long as 15 foot.
And then. That's a strange one.
Okay.
I think that one's not able to be missed. And then the final thing is on our COM CD, which is our Lake Thunderbird water source that we get. I'm on the board there, and so we went through the budget, and basically the cost for our water from Thunderbird is going to be the same, if not just a little bit less than last year. So, and that's it.
Okay, all I really have for this meeting is just remember in our community, it's not so much about just living in our community. It's about being united, having compassion and respect. I know right now that our whole world is turned upside down and there's so much division, but it's okay. We are a small town and all we have is each other. If you need something, just give us a call. All of us council people up here, all of our numbers are listed, and we're here to help.
I'd like to add one thing, though. On McDonough Street, there's 15 houses on our block. There's only 4 homes. And 4 of the houses that are rent houses are run by the same black organization. And he don't care about what that neighborhood is.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We fight the same on our streets.
So, Mr. Gordon, I'm sorry. We need to, the meeting goes into different orders. And so we'll be able to talk to you. Like I said, I'm looking at that
Yeah.
chocolate ice cream there, and I'm ready.
During
So
Brahms
we'll
time.
talk in just a couple of seconds.
I do want to state that we were at the community garden this weekend and that we did plant. We should have plants and garden vegetables growing. We have everything marked, so if you want to go down and plant in the garden, you're more than welcome to. We'll post another date for whenever they go down and plant again and start a cleanup again.
What garden are you talking about? The one on Del Road?
Uh-huh.
By the school?
Yes, at the Rotary Park.
You make sure that place is right. Principal.
We will try. All right, so right now, we are going to take a 15-minute recess. All right.
Do you want to switch to EDA so they can get their plaque first, if you're okay with that?
That's perfectly great. All right, I need
Please.
to have a recess.
I make a motion that we recess from the Del City City Council meeting to the Del City Economic Development Authority.
Second.
Okay, take a vote. Councilman Dean,
Aye.
Councilwoman Brown,
Aye.
Councilman Tatum.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. We are now at the Del City Economic Development meeting. Joey, please call roll.
Trustee Dean.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee Tatum. Here. Chairwoman Finch.
Here.
Madam Chairwoman, if you're okay, we would go straight to item 6, and we'll come back and catch items 3, 4, and 5 after the presentation.
Okay. Item 6, presentation, Dining in Del City recipient, April 2026. Presentation from Joshua Schultz, Executive Director of the Del City Chamber of Commerce on Dining in Del City. Recipient for April 2026, Brahms, located at 1201 South Sunny Lane.
All right. Well, the good time has come, so we get to enjoy some Brahms. A couple weeks ago, we were able to do the ribbon cutting for the re-grand opening of the Brahms location off of I-40 and Sunny Lane. They have a second location over there on 44th and Sunny Lane. We're really happy that they've invested in our community and continue to be a big part of that. And so we were very thankful to be able to do that. Real quick, if you would just gather your attention to the back screen, they got a quick promotional video, and then we'll hand over the plaque.
Awesome.
All righty. As Pam comes down, I'd like to bring up Josh. He's the general manager there for the Brahms location off I-40 and Sunny Lane. Would you like to say anything, introduce who you're with?
Just with Brahms, just want to thank you for letting us be a part of your community.
Thank you, Josh. Hey, Josh, while we're doing this is one of the important things to know is Brahms chose our community back before 1970, and has been here with one of the first stores. And so we've been very blessed to have your company be with us for so many decades.
We appreciate it.
He can just so much history because his wife used to work for Brahms. Thank you for being in our community. I'm so happy that you are back open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, look at me. 1, 2, 3. And then I'll trade for you so you can take the photo. We gotta get her in there. You gotta get in there too. Oh, no.
Thank you.
Thank you for the cameras.
All right, at this time, we're going to take a 15-minute recess. I'm sorry, JD. We are back to economic development. Item 3, is there any public input at this time?
Josh Schultz, 4321 Spiva Drive, Del City, Oklahoma, 73115. 3 items on to look out for. April 21st, wow, it's the ice cream. 23rd, we'll have our second coffee connection in April. So for months that have 5 weeks, we do 2 coffees. So that'll be at the Del City Library, 4330 Southeast 15th Street. Remember, it's the new library, not the community center. So please come on out. It's going to be at 8 a.m. Come enjoy some coffee, some pastries, and learn a little bit more about our library. That same week, on that Saturday, April 25th, will be our Neighbors Night Out. That's in partnership with our Neighborhood Watches, the Chamber, the city, and we'll be putting that on at the Del City Community Center, 4505 Southeast 15th Street. Come on out, enjoy some food, some music, some games. We'll have vendors there. Learn more about your neighborhood watches and enter into raffles to win some prizes. The neighborhood watches will have some prizes. But in our vendor area, we'll have a little bingo game going on. So be sure to come on out and you'll get a chance to win a TV. Thanks to Tinker Federal Credit Union. So you might want to come out just for that. Come out and win a TV. This is just to build some community. Parking will be on the premises, so we'll kind of be moving everything up towards the front of the community center. I don't know if you went last year. We kind of had people parking at Ray Trent. That was a little difficult since some people don't know how to get there, and obviously with the new construction there on the highway, it can get a little confusing. So parking will be on the premises of the community center, so just come out and have a good time. And then May 16th will be our Armed Forces Day Parade. At 9:45, we'll be kicking off with the festivities with our national anthem. At 10, the parade will begin. And then at the conclusion of the parade, we will be having a festival. The festival will conclude at 5. Come on out. We'll have vendors. We have everybody selling from their little car freshies to popcorn, community organizations giving out information. We'll have food trucks, places to sit, eat, and have a good time. I will say we are looking for a beer truck. We've got 2 leads on that, so we're working on that. And then we're looking into to getting a bouncy house. We're put out quotes, so we're just trying to figure out what prices are out there, and then how that works when they have to set up, when they have to tear down, just to make sure that we're not, putting it in an area it's gonna sit there for 10 days. And then at the conclusion of that, at 8 o'clock, head over to Bill Eisenhower at 3900 Southeast 29th Street. We'll be doing a fireworks show. They'll have inflatables there. They'll have music. They'll have games. They'll have food, and as well as a fireworks show put on at the end of the night. And if the Thunder are playing that evening, we'll have the game on for everybody to watch and cheer on the Thunder in the playoffs. So that's going to be a full day. We're kind of hoping that this is the start of something something new. I know it's the 20th anniversary of Hannah, Montana, so there's a plug there. And then just come on out. We want to grow this, and kind of the message I've been putting out. If you've ever been to 89ers Day in Guthrie, if you've ever been to the Blackberry Festival or some of these other festivals around our state, they're big. They're bringing the community together. I'd love to see it where, right now we're doing it for one day. We're testing the waters, but, I would love to see this be a big deal, celebrating our armed forces, not just at Tinker, but across our state. We have several bases. We're a big military state. And that brings me into, we talked about the month of the military child. I got to attend a ceremony at Tinker Elementary School. They're one of only 2 schools as of right now that are a Purple Star school. And so they got that designation. While they may not be in Del City, they obviously have several students there from Del City with their parents that serve on Tinker Air Force Base. And so they have to go through a rigorous process. It is not easy, but they were designated that along with Deer Creek High School. And so we're really proud of that and the impact that we have with our armed forces here. And I would just want to reiterate again, like the prayer that Councilman Dean put out, be thinking about the men and women overseas, their families here back home. No matter what news you're listening to, we always be considerate of those that are serving. They're doing their job, and they do it well, but it's an impact on them, their families, and our community. So just keep them in your prayers. And I think that is everything for me as of right now. I brought it to the city manager. I plan on the next council meeting have another presentation to be able to kind of go into more detail now that we would be about a month out from the parade. All right, is that cool?
Thank you, Josh.
I'm gonna go finish my ice cream.
Any other public input? Nothing? Council input? Councilman Tatum?
Nothing at this time.
Councilwoman Brown?
Nothing at this time?
Councilman Dean?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. All right, item 4, manager's report.
So the only items I have for the Economic Development Authority, one of them, Josh, just so that you know, I got a call from Jackie's grandson in the audience. I was going to say the young lady in the audience's grandson, but I was going to put it out that way, that has some bouncy houses available for us potentially, and he also has a potential for a beer wagon, beer cart, beer something or other. So, Mr. Hightower, if you can hear me, it's happening, sir. So yes, there will be beer, yes. So anyway, those are coming. And just wanted to say thank you for hosting the Brahms Grand Reopening that you had on the 25th of March. A lot of folks attended. It went very, very well. It was good to hear that. And the Coffee Connection at Sovereign Bank on the 2nd of April. Thank you for hosting those. I heard both of them went very, very well. So that is all I have. I will pass it over to our Development Director.
Hello. I'm going to combine reports, community and economic development, so we can just kind of get them both there. Pretty lumped together as a group. So March continued the strong start to 2026 with a focus on consistent execution and steady progress across community and economic development. During the month, the Community Development Department issued 71 permits, 107 inspections, issued 49 licenses, reflecting continued development activity and operational efficiency. We also supported the opening of Cosmic 3D, the first business of its kind in Oklahoma, providing training, sales, and service for 3D printers and materials. This is a unique addition to our local business environment and highlights the type of diverse investment we're beginning to see in the community. In addition, the department launched a new section on the city's economic development webpage that allows residents, businesses, and developers to easily view available properties across the city, helping connect opportunities with those looking to invest in our community. You can find that list, and it will be updated weekly. That's the plan at this point, but if you go to two places, you can either go to the economic development page on the website, or you can go to the new business page on the website. And what I'm doing is basically just collecting all of the known listings for our area, as well as those that aren't necessarily known. So we don't always have, if we've got a for sale by owner, it's not on Crexi, it's not on LoopNet necessarily. So I'm just doing my best to make sure that those get on there. That list will grow as time goes by. If there's something that you're not seeing on there, let me know. We'll get it on there. There's going to be a lot. I'm probably going to include leases and those sorts of availability as well. But right now it's just commercial property that's for sale. On the planning side, planning and funding side, the team submitted applications for both the T-Mobile Hometown Grant and the Land and Water Conservation Fund Grant, as we kind of discussed in the special meeting. We modified that with your modifications to remove the splash pad and go with more of just the shade structures, the parking, just kind of simplify our application. That's it. Any questions? Comments?
We're still proceeding on with the purchase of the property, and everything's looking good.
Yeah, so at this point, from last conversation, the purchase of the property should conclude by the end of June. So
Perfect.
That
Okay.
will happen.
Thank you, Kyle, for your report.
Yes.
To follow up on Director Gandy's report, as you can see here on the website, we now have our available property list under new businesses for the city of Del City. Also, I just learned how to use this thing, the back screen, so I'm very, very excited about it. So expect to see more of that in the coming days. But you can see here, we do have the available property list. So Kyle, thank you for working on that for us. He did so well. Okay, and that's everything I have, ma'am.
Item 5, minutes. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve minutes of the regular meeting of DCEDA of March 2nd, 2026.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The green.
Motion passes. Any other trust input?
Make a motion that we adjourn to the Del City City Council meeting.
Second.
Take a vote. Trustee Dean.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Tatum.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item 5, City Manager's Report.
Okay, a couple of things on the council side of the house. First thing I'd like to do is acknowledge that we had Captain Ed Holland retired from the police department after 20-plus years of service. I just want to say a very special thank you for his years of service to the city of Del City and the Del City Police Department, and he is now working at the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office as his retirement gig, so hopefully we'll still get to see him around, but just wanted to make sure everyone knows that we very much thank him and we hope he enjoys his retirement on that level. So thank you, Captain Holland. The other item I want to bring up from the past couple weeks, on the 28th, the Neighborhood Watch Associations got together for a Blinky Blitz. I wanted to say everyone how much we appreciate that. They especially went around the Old Town area and kind of made some more awareness to that, so thank you all so much for doing that. With that being said, we are trying on try number 3 for the Old Town Neighborhood Watch, coming up this Thursday night, which is April the 9th, at the Community Center at 7 p.m. We will be there for one more try because the city has tried 3 months in a row now to help get this reactivated. So if you know anyone in the Old Town area, anyone that wants to help get the Neighborhood Watch back up and running, please make sure that you attend that. That's coming up this Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Community Center. The only other item I have for the council, the OML legislative reception is coming up on April the 8th. If you have not RSVP'd and you would like to, please do so. All of you should have invites on your calendar and in your inboxes, and it is on the council calendar if you would like to attend, so we'll have a notice of gathering posted if you all would like to be there. With that being said, the last item that I have for City Manager's Report, it is the end of the quarter, March 31st ended the third quarter, so we do have the latest update for you on revenues and expenses for the city as a whole. As a reminder, you can see in the top right-hand corner of your report, it does show 75% of the year is completed, and that's just kind of a simple way to start looking at the budget. When you can see at the bottom of each area, you can see for the revenue summary, we're at 75.35%, so we're right on target. And then you can see down with each one of the expenditures if we're over or under in those particular areas. As a reminder, it is okay on the revenues, on the revenues, it is okay to have brackets. That is a good thing. That means we brought in more money than we anticipated for the whole year. However, on the expenses, brackets are a bad thing, and that is something that Joe and I will be working with the department heads to correct if you see any of those. But that way you have an idea of what's going on in the area. You can see each different department broken out along with all the different funds. If y'all would like to take a look at that, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or the city clerk, and we'll be happy to go over them with you in depth at your liking. With that being said, city clerk's report.
Nothing at this time, sir.
Okay. Our city attorney, Billy Wheeler, did have a death in the family, so our condolences are with the Wheeler family at this time. So we miss you, Billy, but we'll see you in a couple of days. At that, Director Gandy, anything extra you'd like to add? Any other department heads hiding in the wings that I can't see? Captain, you got anything you'd like to bring up for the police department? Okay. Nope. Yeah. All right, then that's everything for the city manager's report, ma'am.
Thank you, JD. Item six, consent docket. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the following items by unanimous consent with one motion. Item A, minutes of the regular meeting of council of March 16th, 2026. Item B, minutes of a special meeting of council of March 30th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Take a vote. Councilman Tatum?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brown?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Item 7, resignation of mayor, declare vacancy. Acceptance of the resignation of the mayor and declare the office of mayor vacant, effective as of March 27th, 2026, pursuant to the city charter to fill the vacancy.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of the mayor, declare the office of the mayor vacant effective March 27th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Take a vote. Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brown?
Aye.
Councilman Tatum?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Item 8, discussion only, parks and public spaces. Discussion only regarding parks and public spaces within the city, including maintenance, improvements, usage, and further planning.
Okay, so what this is actually taking the place of our study session that was going to be coming next week because of the lawyer's absence. We had to do a little flip-flopping. So you do have a basic presentation that I have on the back screen that we'll go over here in just a minute. But the biggest thing I want to let you know about is our Parks Department has gone through a variation of locations in the budget for years. Sometimes it's been with the Streets Department, sometimes it's been with Recreation, sometimes it's tried to be standalone. And the problem is with each different area, especially when it comes to the taxation laws that we work with, everything has to be very well defined to be able to get the money, use the money, and put the money. Otherwise, it falls under the general fund, which, as you all are aware of, the general fund is the one that it takes on the biggest brunt in the city and tends to be the one that needs the most help. So one of the things that we are looking at is some other areas where we can build a department or a group or a division. It just depends on the wording we're going to use. And the one that I've seen most often, especially in grant writing and some other cities, is parks and public spaces. So it's not just the parks that they work on. Public spaces is like our entrance beds to the city. There really is nobody that's been in charge of that. The beautification committee works on them, but those are a volunteer group. They sometimes have funding, sometimes don't, that kind of thing. So there really isn't anyone that can take that on as a full-time job. In addition to that, when you're talking about Eagle Lake is a park, but it's also an entire lake. It's not as simple as we're cleaning up or fixing a swing set or whatever. There's so much more to it. And then other public spaces that you have, the outside of our city buildings. We do have a building superintendent to work on the internal issues in the buildings whenever the lights go out or whenever we have, a glass break or something. But what about just the general outsides? Well, those are public spaces that people are meant to enjoy. So what I've done for the next 90 days is built just kind of a pilot program with parks and public spaces with the development director's help, trying to come up with a plan for what would it look like if we got this funded, built this the way that we wanted to. So just to start us off, we have had a special projects list since I came on board with the city after council, and there are quite a few items on here just in relation to parks and public spaces. This is not all of them, but just to let you know some areas we have. I'm going to read them out loud for the people at home because that is very small, even with being on a big screen. But basketball courts at Sequoia have been a big thing we've talked about for years. The Bob Woods Memorial, we brought that up for multiple years. The disc golf course in Ray Trent has been brought up for many years. Working on the Del City signage, the entries to our city, updating that has been far overdue. The Edwards Park beautification, just to get that section cleaned up. Getting the metal roofing at the pool for those different areas where there's shade at our pools is something we've been talking about. Councilwoman Brown has been talking about the Old Town Park, trying to get that project started since her beginning here, and of course with a splash pad on top of that. The Rose Lane redevelopment has been off and on for a number of years. I found out one of our invoices, rubber mulch in the play areas, we have that listed as complete. and that is not complete. So the Townsend Park expansion has been on for many years. And then just even the Veterans Memorial that was already complete, getting that renovated after some of the issues it had with that. This is just to name a few. There are plenty of others on the special project list, but just to give you all an example, these are either citywide or specific to wards. There's quite a few items that need to be addressed at some point. So I've highlighted a few of them here on the presentation. Just know that doesn't mean this is all encompassing, but to give you an idea of what we're talking about. So just talking about the Sequoia Park basketball courts. We have talked about doing the Court of Dreams program through Thunder Cares for a number of years, getting the Thunder to come in and potentially build up these courts. So if you all recall TSET, we received $120,000 of TSET money in fiscal year 24. The development department worked very, very hard with them to use that funding to build a master parks and trails plan specifically for Sequoia Park and then bleeding into Ray Trent. But these are just some renderings that we received from them. You all received that in December, so this is just taken out of there. But to give people the example of what Sequoia Park could turn into and then what that would look like to do the basketball courts. The other item, this shows the entire thing all together. Obviously, it's very difficult to read even from the back there, but just to give you some example of taking that space and totally reinventing it, redesigning it, which requires engineering and some different levels of work. But that is what the Parks and Public Spaces program would be, is having dedicated folks to that. Because right now, just for Sequoia Park, that would require the city manager, one of our code officials, the city planner, the development director, the city clerk. That is a lot of work for one particular area. We need a department or a division that this can actually be assigned to them if and when the time comes. Yes, a lot of this will have to be taken out or to be contracted out to be able to get it to this level. But just imagine if we do have this tomorrow, if the wand was waved and we had this tomorrow, who would take care of it? Who would clean it up? Would that go to the Hartsdale Neighborhood Watch to have to clean up weekly? Would that be the Ward 1 council member that goes and cleans it up weekly? Would that be, the departments that go in there? Because right now the streets department would do that. We have plenty of streets that require full-time attention. We have bridges that require full-time attention. So just to let you all know, as we're working toward this, one thing we've talked about for all things parks and public spaces is we would love all of these things, but after the first 6 months to a year or after the grant funding runs out, it ends up going down for no fault of anyone. We literally have a limited number of staff. So this would be an example when this gets taken care of, who would be able to come in there and keep track of this, check on it, provide the updates as needed. So that is the first one, just to give you an example. Moving on to the disc golf course at Ray Trent. This is one of the very early stages of Ray Trent Park. They're in the drafting mode. This project is on hold until we receive our next allotment of funding. Master Parks and Trails plans, as all plans are not cheap. Kyle, is that the right way to put it? I think Andrew's in the back. I think he'll agree. It's not cheap. So master planning was started through TSET, but additional funds are going to be needed to make this go. The major reason why this is on hold, though, with everything at Ray Trent Park is because we have come, a river stabilization plan, or in our case, a creek stabilization plan, is something that the engineers have brought to staff and said, hey, if you build these stabilization plans, there is a possibility of taking the 26%, thank you, sir, of the city that is currently in floodplain or floodway, which greatly prevents us receiving future funding or being able to do certain things without large amounts of engineering. This could take that number and reduce it anywhere from 5% to 15%, depending on how well it goes. That would be awesome to get this stuff out of the floodplain and the floodway, but that does require a creek or river stabilization plan for them to tell you, hey, you got to build a retention pond here, you've got to widen this creek here, you got to change this over here. All of those they can do, so that is why that was placed on hold. But the one thing I do want to bring up for the Sequoia plan and for the disc golf plan, there will still be time for public hearings and community input. This is not the end, this is the beginning, but you have to have a place to start. It's good to see what it could look like and then let more ideas and things flow alongside of it. So just so that you see where we talked about the disc golf course for many a year, there is places for it over here. Now, if I could read this well enough, I wonder if I can expand it from, nope, it doesn't work that way when it's projecting. But the disc golf trail is 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Thank you, Vanna.
So just so for reference there, so this is Reno Avenue, so we've actually extended part of the rough cut of Reno to the north, and then this is I-40 here, so we're actually encompassing a little bit of Patriot Park. But let's see, we've got playground, soccer fields, disc golf, oh, sorry, yes, so the golf course, I was trying to remember where it was actually indicated. So it's actually a trail right now that kind of crisscrosses in a couple of places over the creek and encompasses basically the entire park. When you're looking at the actual trail, when you go to play that 18 holes, you're going to end up going from north to south, the entire park. In the past, we've kind of talked about just keeping it over here in this little section of the park. When you are able to master plan, you're actually able to encompass the entire park. Allows you to think bigger.
Awesome. Vanna's wardrobe was provided by Boot Barn. Hey, look, how about that, you know? That's great. Thank you, Kyle, I appreciate that. So that's just an example for the disc golf course. The other item that we have, the entry signs for Dell City. As you can see, this one, whenever it was back in its full glorious heyday, was beautiful. They have since become run down. They've lost a lot of their shine and a lot of their paint. Those need to be either renewed or replaced. In the comprehensive plan, there are beautiful designs, or is it comprehensive or is it the... Okay, in the comprehensive plan, there are beautiful designs to incorporate the new logos and things and build them in there. Some of them are electronic. The rebrand, thank you. Either way, still great ideas that are coming. I do want you all to know we did receive a $6,000 Community Foundation grant for the welcome beds to put in, specifically to put in native Oklahoma plants. So that is still on the table. The money is not gone. That is still a project plan in place. The biggest issue, by the time we got the funding, I moved positions. Kyle had a project, it got moved. 4 different people have tried to take this and run with it, and the timing is just not there because there's so many other things that take up our time. So this is further a thought of why we were going to try to put in the Parks and Public Spaces section so that we can not only spend this money. Parks and Beautification have talked about it for years. They would love to get in there, clean these up, build these up, do this, but to build an RFP to replace these signs, to get the documentation there, make sure the funding is aligned, all of those items, it really takes someone that has a little bit more time than making this a part-time of a part-time of a part-time project that the staff is currently holding on to.
I was just going to say, it's because of the lack of dedicated personnel more than anything. So you covered it.
Also, the few volunteers that we have, they're getting tired of just the few showing up.
The other project, so one that we have focused a large amount of staff time on, is the Rose Lane project, where we received that $25,000 grant from ACOG for the CERI, the Community and Economic Resiliency Initiative. So for those of you that are unaware, Rose Lane, as you can see, is that section. There's 29th Street on the south, then you see the red line there that would actually be the original Rose Lane, and you can see it intersects with Epperly Drive. So just to give one example of what we have for there, this is the start of that project. We have since had an update last Thursday. We did not get the slideshow for that to be able to present today, but this is one of the slides that they've talked about of all the different items that the CERI program is working on: murals, a museum, rooftop dining, alleyway activations, more green spaces, food trucks, just to name a few, but to give you some of those examples of the things that we are working for Rose Lane, which, let's just say when the wand is waved and all this comes in tomorrow, once this is set up, now who takes care of it? And that's one of the things, this would be one of those public spaces that we could have someone dedicated to come in and provide assistance, even if it's as simple as watering the plants or washing the street down or anything of that nature. There's so many good things that could come of this. But setting up these items, whenever we do have the seasonal markets or the food trucks or anything they're talking about, that is going to require time and dime, and that's what we want to make sure that we get prepared for now. So we do have other items coming, but that's just to give you an example of what we have on Rose Lane. The Townsend Park expansion. This is an older project that we had brought up with some ideas We have already made the grant application in for that, so some of this does not count, but just showing you the picture of just getting the basic engineering and design of it done. We have already pre-approved the purchase of the dilapidated building. After that, the demolition of the dilapidated building will be 2 sections we're working on, and then development of the north section into further parkland. The shade area is what we have focused on now. So the purchase of the building, the destruction of the building, and then the development of shade area and some trees are what we have currently designed with the grant that we applied for last week through the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Make sure I get my letters in a row here. So, but other things that were brought up by folks from Midway Village were having a location to put in a large video screen so they can do a movie night in the park. That would not be a hard thing to add on if we were to do that. And then, of course, the splash pad that we had talked about back and forth from the past. That can easily be replaced with more park equipment, playground equipment, or a video viewing area, all of which could be taken care of in the coming weeks. And then last but certainly not least, our Women's Veterans Memorial. The previous administrations and the previous employees have worked very hard to build this beautiful monument that we have here. And the lime and rust were a huge problem. As you can see from this picture, you can see where the lime and rust took place on each one of the statue's legs. Those have since been abated. We did have that taken care of by the original sculptor, and that was, I believe, a $10,000 process to get that completely cleaned up, which we are very appreciative of, to get that cleaned up and shined up. For those of you that are unaware, we've had unhoused visitors that would stay there that caused very, very large amounts of damage in the past 2 years. So about 2 years ago when it first began happening, we immediately went in and spent about $4,000 to $8,000 to replace it. Then it happened a second time. By the third time, we had to shut the property down because we could not afford to keep up with those levels of replacement because there isn't dedicated funding to that. So we are building into the budget this funding for fiscal year 27 to completely reactivate the memorial, but we have had to bring in someone to say, how can we get some of the lighting? Just an example, the lights that are underneath the water look golden under the water. It's a beautiful, beautiful design. It is not real gold. We had people that actually tried to take the bulbs out, break the electricity with the water still flowing, and take out the bulbs thinking they were real gold, and some people took them to Walmart trying to use them as some sort of currency. So not trying to speak ill of anybody, but just letting everybody know what kind of happened with that. So when we do get this area cleaned back up, traditionally the community center staff have taken care of this, but the community center staff has plenty of work to do also. So who would be able to take care of this where we don't have to come in there and do this this was a 20-year project worth of lime and rust that we had to clean up, give or take? So, okay. So if every 10 years we have to spend at least $10,000 cleaning this up, what can we do if we have some preventative maintenance, in the future and have someone dedicated to that? So just to let you all know what we're doing with parks and public spaces, there are a lot more projects that we can work on. There are a lot more ideas. Feel free to pass them on now if there are other areas you want me to start focusing on or incorporating, and that'll just be the end of it. Just had my question slide, but I will go back to the front page so you can just see the main list. And if there are things that you do want to focus on, especially with the coming fiscal year and with us working on the budget for it now, this is something right now I'm anticipating the Parks and Public Spaces division having at least 3 employees, maybe 1 equipment operator level 3, which is someone who can work all the equipment at Public Works, and then maybe 1 or 2 crew workers. So they would be more of the entry-level folks with the shovel and pail that can do some of the more basic work. But we're starting off trying to get to a funding of 3 and just seeing how it works. Traditionally, in a Public Works department, you have 7. You have a supervisor and 6 employees. As of right now, the budget's not going to be able to handle a division of that size. But our thought is, even if we plant the seed and start this process this year and see how it works out, how will it go, and what projects can we complete?
I would like to see a couple of 2s up there on that list.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever thought about having a dedicated horticulturist that could take care of some of that stuff? Just, the plants, the landscaping, get maybe a couple, like you just said, actual parks people that can take care of those situations.
So that is something we have had in the past, was a part-time horticulturist that was paid through our hotel motel tax that has special dedicated funding to that. When we do move forward on our hotel motel tax increase request for the citizens, that would definitely be something we would look at.
The, pardon me, the metal roofing around the pool, that was an agenda item a few weeks back. We had postponed that so we could review to find a better price. Do you know where that stands right now?
So we actually had a meeting about that this morning. One of the quotes that was brought back to us had a 14 gauge. Am I saying it right, Kyle? Very thin metal, yes. Yes, very thin metal, and that is not something that we were looking for in our processing to be able to get a stronger metal, something that's not going to have problems, especially during hailstorms and things of that nature. So we have requested additional contractors provide us additional quotes for some different options to bring back to you all, and let you all make a determination on what you're willing to fund for that process.
Do you think that will be done by the time the pool opens?
That is the goal, yes, sir. Our goal is to have it on at the April 20th agenda if we can get all of our quotes in time.
And how much, I just got to see a canvas covering for a carport, and that's basically all this thing is. How much was just put the canvas back on compared to the $40,000 to change over to something different?
I don't remember that number off the top of my head. It was more the fact that it had to be a custom-made cover. That's why the price was up there. I cannot remember what the number was. CJ probably could, but it made more sense to go with metal based on those conversations. But I can have him look at that again and refresh my memory on what that was.
Because I know that we have several canvas people here in the city, let alone just down Sunny Lane. I think that we could get this thing done quickly for another 5 years or so with that canvas. Or, again, we just need to get something done on that. We didn't put it off and postpone the $40,000 replacement for that. We put it off because that was an extraordinarily high price for what they were doing. And so we still want that done. And if we need to go back to canvas, let's do that. If we want to go ahead and make the change, let's do that. But the last thing we should be doing is nothing. And that's the problem with all these projects, is that we come up with so many different ideas and you go and spread yourself so thin. I think we should go and pick 3 projects, or actually 1 project right now, which I think we should get done before Orange Forces Day Parade, is to get water into our Veterans Memorial. We don't have to have lighting. We don't have to do this, but we don't have to leave it in its dilapidated state now. And then check out the rest of the park. Get that part done, and then that way we're done with that part. But we need you having all of these different projects, let alone Rose Lane or this and that. That's impossible for our amount of people on the city. And so I think that, we really need to look at all of our big projects and pick a few, and then absolutely make sure that those things get done. And going back to the water feature, water park thing that we were going to have over at Townsend Park, the problem with it wasn't necessarily the water feature, water park part. It was kind of the location and trying to make sure that it's in the right spot for the right amount of people. So again, just because we said no to that part doesn't mean that it's no for the whole city. It's just,
right.
And again, whether it's this meeting right now and, come up with the right, right spot or so forth, but you need to actually have direction somewhat from us so that you don't think that certain projects, which I think have effectively fallen off that list, that I'm not going to bring up, that we can have a discussion about things and then decide which ones are really important to get done first.
So is there a project specifically that you all want the Parks and Public Spaces folks to focus on initially, like the Women's Veterans Monument? Is that the one that you want us to start the focus on
Who is Parks and Public Spaces? Who is that? Is that the beautification team?
No, so this is actual staff members that we're putting together. We're in the process of putting together a pilot team. Right now, we have CJ, who is the head of our Parks and Recreation Division as a supervisor, and then we have one gentleman named Cleon from the Equip Op 3 section of our Streets Department who has been well-trained in all of these different areas, like being able to use the backhoe, the extend-a-hoe, the track hoe, the insert, all of them. Yeah,
I think-
insert all the different versions of things.
I think the
So-
problem is with this crew that you're coming up with is that they would be absolutely fantastic at taking care of something. But to go and do the RFPs and go and get the money spent and go and get the ideas done, you don't have that part yet. And so whoever that is, it's just that we need to make sure that they're capable of doing this and that we, how long, I get to go and do these projects all the time. How long does it really take to go and get your, the water put in and this, to go ahead and do this, to go get the RFPs or go and get whatever you need? So if it takes you a week, 40 hours of working on it, well, at least we got the, we got that ball moving. Then you need to make sure that they go from that project, over to, let's pick one here, entry signage to Dell City. What's taking so long on that part? Let's, that sign that's over at I-40 and Sunny Lane just needs to have a little bit of gold paint put on one of the letters. Are we really holding up getting the weeds pulled out of that flower garden and that sign painted because we're waiting on putting up the DCOK emblem on it? Nothing should be stopping progress just because we're waiting on this one. And if we are waiting on it, then that puts all the more emphasis on getting that part done, which is get the signs replaced.
It seems to me, I think the easiest one with this new team that you're putting together, I think the easiest project for them to see how well things will go would be the entry signs. Let's get a record of what we have. Where are they? I want to, let's get a picture of all of them. What does it look like? What is the spaces? Then we can RFP. What is it going to cost for a sign? I understand that we already have some cost estimates for a sign, but it would be good to know what those cost estimates are, and then just go ahead and get started with the plants. Hopefully that would be something easy that they would be, nothing's easy for a city or a municipality, but I think that would be the easiest first step.
And purchasing,
everything,
right.
Really,
and
everything.
purchasing the rubber mulch and going and throwing it in. And so we look at all these grand plans, it's like going, let's just pick some easy wins and knock those off.
And check them off.
And because right now you're in this depression mode of, wow, we got all these different projects and none of them are ever good.
Right. And that is something we've noticed, even something as simple as the restriping that we did on 15th between Sunny Lane and Bryant, and then the same thing taking place at 29th. Those were huge wins. Everybody was very happy about them. We received whatever. We need to start seeing some of these things go. So the entry signs and the rubber mulch can both be, the entry sign process can already be started. The rubber mulch can be something we get taken care of within 30 days easily.
I will say, you had mentioned the Veterans Memorial. I want us to look at that. If we're just going to put water in it, that's one thing, but it's actually there's a lot of danger over there if we start to try to do the lighting. There's a lot of
And so we had a discussion about that part, which is one is that you need to go and put a motion sensor and get some external lighting and go ahead and get a sensor that goes to the 911 operator so that the police can go and get called as soon as somebody comes over there after 8 o'clock. 8 p.m. we see motion there. We have the police make a drive-by to go see what's going on. Because, yeah, there's plenty of places for bad things to be going on over there. And of course, it's a haven for that. So, and it should not be something extraordinary to go and have, an AI camera that could go and just on itself see that there's people there between these hours and make the phone call over to, the automated phone call for us over to the 911 operations system. And but this part about discussion is we're ready to have these discussions or whatever's slowing us down. And so, please, let's proceed,
Yeah, I do know that the beautification committee has worked on the signage and the flower beds, but they've only taken it so far because there's always a stopping point.
Right.
I mean, those signs and those beds are from 2010. So it's time for an update. And you have to remember, that's like when someone from out of town comes into our city, that's you opening the door. And if it doesn't look beautiful and presentable, nobody's going to come in here. We have to make it look good. Visible beautification, that's a plus all the way around our city. We have to start somewhere.
And right now, without having had the team, who takes care of our beds? From what I understand, it is just a volunteer process, or is it under the guise of the beautification?
So beautification committee is all volunteers. They are the ones that take care of the beds as of right now.
And if we give this new group get started on the signs, they will then take over the upkeep of the flower beds.
Yes.
And that will be taken away from the beautification team to give them space to do something different. Then the city will be taking care of those flower beds. It's not going to fall onto a volunteer, because my point is the city also needs to show that we care and we want to invest, and we are actually putting the investments and we're putting our best into these flower beds. We cannot just depend it on volunteers. Bless their hearts. We can try to do as much as we can as a volunteer, but I think at the end of the day, it should fall on the city to be the ultimate responsible people for making sure that they stay great. Because otherwise, the city is just going to be blaming, well, we don't have enough volunteers. You know what? It should be our business to keep it up.
So that would be the goal, is like if we're talking about the entry signs to the city, whenever we have the initial design, let's just say we get everything back and we're doing the native plants, and that would be the beautification committee that would come in, design it, make it beautiful, all the stuff that they have. And then we have someone that is actually dedicated that can keep it watered, keep the weeds out of it, keep some of the basic. It'll still be at the beautification committee's discretion to go, hey, we had, I believe, Adopt-A-Bed was something that they had done, Kyle, 2 years ago? Adopt-A-Bed. That was very successful for a certain period of time, that someone kind of kept up with those, but we still have a group that's able to come in and say, hey, I went and checked them, cleaned them, there was a problem here. Like when the lighting goes out, we used to have lighting in every bed, and now some do, some don't, some have a light there but no electricity that goes anywhere, those kinds of things. Those would be falling on the city to make sure that those are up, running, and doing what they need to do.
And
At one time, they all had irrigation and lighting.
right.
I know when we did all that.
That irrigation is a problem, which is, we had some volunteers this weekend that was complaining that they want to come up here and make these flower gardens around City Hall all the better. But we used to have irrigation out there, and then it's gone away, and they've asked for it to be put back in, and it still hasn't been put back in. So I'm not sure, and numerous different beds around have had the same issue. So, if we're going to have flowers, if we're going to have things that look nice, we're going to have water there, because obviously our parks people can't go around with the trailer and go water each one.
Right.
And so we need to have a, focus on what does the Parks and Recs, Parks team need. And whenever they ask for the money, just go, thank you, because, if somebody else did this stuff and, go and plant these things, it's going to cost 10 times more. We have the volunteers, but they don't have the money to spend on it.
Right, and one of the things about the irrigation and the lighting, we're at the point where we call everything urban legend that happened a few years ago, because we're not sure what we've heard versus what we haven't. But we heard the tale that no, the irrigation needed to be pulled out from the beds because they wanted something different, and then no, we want them back, no, we want them gone, no, we want them back. The same thing with certain lighting. Some of the lighting needed to be there, some of the lighting didn't. So we're at the point now where I kind of, at our last beautification committee meeting, said, okay, tell me what we want, and we're going to stick with it. Whatever we stick with, whatever we do, we're going to stick with it and continue on down that process.
And I think going down that same route is what you really have to do, which is, start over. We have a new blank slate, and you go and say, you know, whenever they say that we need a water sprinkler out here, then let's spend whatever it takes, whether it's $100 or $2,000. Let's get this thing done and move, you know, and then allow them to go ahead and get the flowers put in and moved on. But you know, again, going back to this question is we definitely know that there's issues with the parks, with the beautification committee, getting to use the budget that they already have. And so let's use that, and then whenever they run out of money, have who's ever in charge of that beautification committee come and ask for more money out of the different funds that we happen to have. Come and ask us for more money, because yeah, if we're making improvements, we're going to like it.
Boy, Stacy really got to you saying, come get more money. What the heck, Michael?
Good for Stacy.
Go, Stacy.
So there is water at every bed, I know that for sure. It just needs to be put into the bed. There's a water source in the front of it. And I don't know why the irrigation was pulled out. Maybe they froze. But at one time, there was irrigation in every bed. There was also the solar panels that are by the beds. That was the lighting at night. We had light on every bed. So, and I don't know what's happened there, if there's been
Vandalism or something. We'll have to
vandalism's
find that out. So from what it sounds like, if I'm reading you all correctly, the three things that we're going to focus on right off the bat: the metal roofing at the pool, getting that taken care of, whether it's going back to canvas or getting the metal roofing plan completed. The rubber mulch at all the parks. There we go. Try saying that fast. And then the entry signs, especially with the before and after. Get the pictures and things of what it looks like now, and then do the before and after going.
Inventory of what we do have.
Without having to take.
What has irrigation, what doesn't? What has a solar light, what doesn't? What needs it? Just to get an inventory of every single one. Where are they? Where are they placed? Who is taking care of it?
Got it. With that being said, is that a consensus? I know we're not voting, but is that a consensus that everybody's with?
Yeah, I am good with the canvas. I just know that it needs to be taken down every winter. So it's not going to have
Right, yeah,
winter storm to it.
I mean, the simple maintenance side of doing that would save, you know,
That's where they tend to get messed up, is the installation and the removal. From my understanding, I've not done it, but from my understanding from CJ, it's a matter of pulling them tight. That's when they tend to rip. Pulling them off, that's when they tend to fail. So it's not, they are taking them off during the winter months, but it's rough on them putting them on and taking them off.
I would
Chris
prefer-
DeRoy from Waterline Maintenance did let us know irrigation was destroyed to the point of needing completely replaced, almost a yearly occurrence. So he's given me some notes on that. So thank you, Chris, for watching. This is kind of fun to get the answers or whatever magically appearing. So thank you, Chris.
On the roofing parts at the pool, I would prefer metal. It's longer
Yeah,
lasting, but I don't know what quotes you've gotten so far.
The quotes have ranged from 30,000 to 75,000. We've had 5 quotes. We've had quotes over 4 years old that were already in the 45,000 to 50,000 range. So the quote that we brought was by far the most reasonable quote that we've received. So we'll look at that again. CJ Esmaza this morning is reevaluating, going to look. I'm going to add the canvas to his list to reevaluate that tomorrow, and we'll have an answer by the next meeting
Right.
as to how we're going to proceed.
yeah, that canvas compared to the 40, 50, 60,000 of that.
$10,000 for canvas, we can do that every 5 years.
Or every 3 or 5,
And they could be in our new marking colors. Trust me.
Okay, then if everyone's good with that, that'll be our marching orders coming up. And then whenever we get these projects down and under control, bring you back some special projects lists and say, okay, let's prioritize the next 3. I think that's the way to go. Eat the elephant a bite at a time instead of having the overwhelming that we've had for so long. Thank you all. And Kyle, great work on getting us this, whatever that's called, because I'm using this more often now. We have visual aids. I'm very excited.
Okay, that's the end of our discussion. Item 9 says council input. Nothing?
see, just,
All right.
is there any usage of our current soccer fields down you know, at Ray Trent.
AYSO?
So did they redo their lease?
We haven't seen their contract. Joe, as far as you know, we still get our check once a year from them, right? AYSO, soccer fields, $400 max.
I believe we did last year. I can check and see if we've gotten anything.
I know that they do a lot of maintaining of that area. I know we just opened the restrooms for them. They kind of manage opening and closing those each time, so.
That's nice to have that partnership.
I think that's it, yes.
All right, item 10.
I'm sorry, did we pass the council report? Can I request, JD, that
Ma'am.
we have a a traffic engineer take a look at Vicky, please? And the
Anywhere
stop
special?
signs. Yes.
Oh, all the way down, but yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
please.
Sorry.
Thank you.
And what are you trying to have them look at?
We have got some issues with some stop signs on Vicky, and after some review and after some studying, I think it could definitely be updated as far as that goes. And I know with our air quality control grant coming up soon, I think that's going to be a great time to start combining how we can update that whole strip down Vicky.
Right.
Thank you.
Good idea. Okay, any
Make
other
it-
council input?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, take a vote. Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brown?
Aye.
Councilman Tatum?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are now adjourned.